Hey, good morning, everybody. The CPI number was just released for your fourth stimulus check update of 2022 today. And the fourth stim and the CPI number released today was a shock. Let me give you the data. This is breaking news. It came in at higher than expected. It was supposed to come in at 8.1% and came in at 8.3%. This is nearly the highest level in nearly 40 years. The number even was higher when excluding gasoline and food. That's what's called the core CPI. It came in 6.2%. Ironically, this is the April number. And when you exclude energy and food, it was still higher because energy actually went down the month of April. Remember, there was that time in which after Putin invaded where energy prices went down. This is a big shocker. Not a shocker to you or me because I have been talking about that the CPI likely was to come in higher, hotter than expected. A lot of the numbers they were talking about was 7.9%. This is the CPI. Again, it's not inflationary number. When I say 7.9%, I'm not saying that's the inflation number. CPI, Consumer Price Index, is a benchmark. It's a benchmark to determine how much inflation is up or down. And it came in higher than expected. Wall Street is looking for about 7.9%. Many of the expectations were 8.1%. It came in at 8.3%. Again, this is hotter than expected. What does this mean? It means that what the Federal Reserve has not worked. Surprise, surprise. It is not what the Reserve was looking to curb inflation by raising interest rates. By the time of this CPI number, which is an April number, we have already had one interest rate spike. That would have been the early April one, which was quarter. We did not have the impact of the half basis point increase from the May because this is an April reading. Again, if you're just joining me, this is live breaking news. The Consumer Price Index, the CPI, which is a gauge of inflation, I told you it was being released on Wednesday. It was released minutes ago. It was featured on the live show that's currently airing on the channel as well. And that CPI number reveals that we came in higher than expected on inflation. The expectation was 7.9%, CPI 8.1%. It came in at nearly 8.3%. This is higher than expected. And the net result is that you can see the Federal Reserve come in higher on those interest rate spikes. I don't think he's going to three-quarter, but it means that we're going to have prolonged inflation, and that prolonged inflation means that we'll stay with probably about a half basis point indefinitely. What does this mean for your SSI? What does this mean for your Build Back Better Act? What does this mean for your fourth stimulus checks? First, it means that it's good news because if Joe Biden made that swap from COLA to inflation today, you'd still lock in that 8%. Number two, it means it's good news for Build Back Better Act. These inflationary rates are expected to stay high. Let's go over the core numbers again. Wall Street is expecting 7.9%. CPI, Consumer Price Index, released this Wednesday morning. Is it Wednesday or Thursday? I'm losing track. Yeah, Wednesday. And it came in at 8.3%, much hotter than expected. Not hotter than I expected, because I expected it to be even higher than that. I don't buy anything that Jay Powell's doing is working, and it won't work. This is the highest number we have seen since 1982. This is the highest number we've seen since 1982. This is a year-to-date number, remember? This is not a month-to-month number. Now, when you remove energy and food, which is then called core CPI, it was still hot. Let's do the month-to-month number, comparing April to March of this year. What about the month-to-month number? Again, that was 0.3% higher on the general, and on the core 0.6%. So remember, I talked about that number about a month ago. The month-to-month number was even higher. So we're going year to date. Inflation is higher, obviously. And month to month, the number is still higher. What does this mean for you? It means that the situation is far from over. It means we're going to have a lot more interest rate spikes. Those interest rate spikes are going to continue to roll out, and those interest rate spikes are going to be prolonged. If you're just joining me right now, good morning, John Thompson. How are you? This is breaking news. Consumer Price Index number released this morning, the Wednesday number. I had told you many people had called this like the Super Bowl, as though this was the biggest event of the entire season for the economy. I really do agree. I think this was a big, big event going into today, not hyperbole. I think it really was a big event to hear this consumer price index number. And once again, not to pat myself on the back, I got to tell you, I got it right. I told you what Jay Powell's doing to raise interest rates is not going to bring down inflation. It's not going to bring down inflation. And that we're going to have prolonged inflation. This is now signaling that the year-end date number may be higher than expected, and it also signals that we may have more than 2.5 basis point increase after this, because Jay Powell's going to keep on trying, and it ain't going to work. Again, the month-to-month data number, higher than expected. The year-to-date number, higher than expected. And the situation is that when you take out energy, gasoline, and you take out certain foods, which you think are the highest numbers of the equation, the situation is that the number's still high. The number is still high. I'll have more about this on Evenings LA tonight. But again, if you're just joining me, this is a live broadcast, breaking news report. The Consumer Price Index number released by the Department of Labor minutes ago. This is an April reading, of course, released in the month of March. Shows that inflation rose in the month of April higher than expected, higher than Wall Street expected, not higher than I expected. Higher than expected. Wall Street is looking for 8.1%. Some people are saying 7.9%. Came in at 8.3%. Highest number is 40 years, more than 40 years. Second, it shows that when you exclude food and gasoline, it was higher than expected, 6.2%. Oh, and here's another number. It shows that in that same period of time, workers did not make a lot more money. So when comparing it to the price inflation versus your salary inflation, how much more you made, it didn't compensate. So you're making less money, you're not making that much more money, but your products are going up substantially. The highest number since 1982. The month-to-month data, again, is higher. It went up about 0.6% month-to-month when removing energy and other items. And this is the latest data that the Federal Reserve has to battle with. Let's look at the core numbers. On a 12-month basis, energy was up 30% year to date. We know that. Food is up 10% still on year to date. Whoa, that is hot. And then the CPI number, of course, today was hotter, even when you exclude energy, which was down that month. Remember, April, we pulled back a little bit. Energy pulled back about 6.1%. What is the reaction this morning? Charles Schwab income strategist Kathy Jones minutes ago said, we're starting to see energy pull back a little bit, but it's not enough. The markets are hoping for a better number. It's not good enough. Expect more tightening from the Fed, obviously. And it shows that there's an upward trend of inflation, and deceleration is going to be slow, meaning the search for lower inflation. It is going to be very slow. So Seema Shah, as I've been saying, we ain't getting the number down. Imagine in the last 24 hours it said, oh, we're getting down to 1% inflation by the end of the year. No, you're not. No, you're not. I mean, look, we are in May, and the inflation is higher in May than it was in December of last year. Who told you this? I did last year. I told you 8% inflation in December, staying about the same or going higher. In about March, it went higher. And then I said for this month, April, I said it's about the same or a little bit higher. It went a little bit higher. And I'm also saying 4% inflation by the end of the year. So I may be undervaluing inflation by the end of the year. I'll relook at my numbers in the next few weeks and see, hey, maybe 4% inflation by the end of the year is actually too low. Again, Jay Powell saying he's going to do 7.9% by the end of the year. Not going to happen. I'll see you later today on LALATE. Again, the Consumer Price Index number released minutes ago shows that inflation went higher for the month of April than expected. And that CPI number was higher than Wall Street expected, not higher than what I expected. Good news for you and your money. First, good news for the SS 300, because if Joe makes that swap from coal into inflation, you'd lock in that $800, 8% inflation right now, which would be $200 more per month. And good also for Build Back Better Act, because this is really bad economic data. It's prolonged inflation. and now we're in month of May, and I always told you, prolonged numbers into May, you go in recession. All right, have a beautiful day. I will see you later and see you throughout the day. Jump onto the live show, also airing currently on the channel. Have a beautiful day.